listening to my friend Gary Anderson on Night Dreams Talk Radio, the best in paranormal radio.
Please check out the Night Dreams Talk Radio website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. Also, if you want to keep our show free of advertising, just hit the donate button. Give $1 or $2. Remember, all prior shows are always free to listen to. We at Night Dreams Talk Radio thank you for your support. You are listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio Network, from our compound to you worldwide, with your host, Gary Anderson.
Well, I hope everybody's, had a great week. I'm not going to get political tonight because I gave my word I wouldn't do it, but I will say a lot of people are going to be going on vacation. Tonight, we got a great, set of guests. We have Andrew and his wife, Julia. They're going to be talking about 2 books that are fantastic. In fact, one of them is called Southwest UFO Triangle Theory. When I got that book, I was really infatuated with all the photographs in it and the maps and all the information. And the other book they have here that is called Alien Park Dunes. Andrew and Julie, how are you doing tonight?
Great.
Thank you for having us on.
Oh, I'm glad to have you on. Whereabouts in the country are you guys at?
We're down in Southern California.
Oh, wow. I tell you, I'm up here in Gig Harbor, Washington, and I tell you, it's really cold, and a lot of wind and a lot of power outages this week. And also, we had a tornado up here a few miles from me, which we never in this part of the country get tornadoes. And it literally took off some roofs of people's houses and a business and did some major damage. So earth changes are going on.
That's weird.
I'm sorry to hear that. We saw that on the news, and I had relatives up in Washington, visited there once, beautiful area, and I wish we had more weather down here, down in sunny California.
Yeah, it's a warm 68.
Oh, wow. My daughter lives up in Hemet, California, and, my younger years, as back last year and on, I'd take my motorcycle with my son, and we'd, cruise through Reno, Las Vegas, go up to Hemet, to San Diego, L.A., San Francisco, and cruise for about 2 weeks. Love it.
Oh, wow. I rode a motorcycle for some 22 years from high school until I got married, and really enjoyed taking my vacation trips on it. I'd cruise on up, went as far as Oregon once, and typically would go out as far as Utah. And I'd spend 2 weeks and camp out and visit relatives. Really loved it.
Oh, yeah. I love it, too. You know what? I have never, I crashed major last year. 42 years riding a motorcycle. Never dropped a bike, never crashed, never had a problem. Put on, roughly up to last year, I was putting on around 18,000 miles a year riding. Go into a cafe and run across another old biker, me and my wife. And we started talking, and he was telling us, oh, boy, have you ever crashed? And I said, no. And he said, well, I've crashed probably a dozen times in the last 30 years. 20 minutes later, going up a steep hill, a huge rock, and going up the steep hill, there was a stoplight, and it was red. And, when the truck moved in front of me, there was this big rock. I hit it, and down we went.
Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
Sad.
That can hurt. That can hurt. Hopefully you had the right clothes on and the helmet and everything.
Well, I ride a big Harley, and I'll tell you, it slid about 30, 40 feet with me under the bike going down. My wife was lucky. She kind of got thrown off into the side of the bank and didn't get really hurt too bad. But the bike was on top of me. We're talking close around 900 pounds just going down the road.
Oh, frightening.
Oh, wow. Wow, sorry to hear that.
So this summer,
I've never had a crash like that. I've been down a couple of times. My fault. Maybe took a turn, a little turn leaned into it too much into a turn, and then I had a really embarrassing bike lay down. It was at the kickstand. The thing, I just didn't get the kickstand down all the way, and it just went over, and that's the most embarrassing.
Well, like my son, one of my sons, because they both ride motorcycles, we came up, and he was riding only a year. but we were up in a place called Shelton, Washington. Bunch of hundreds of people walking. You know, it's a tourist area. Walking up and down the street, we come up to a light, and for some reason, he forgot to put his feet down. Figured that one out.
No.
So he went over really fast.
Oh, wow. Well, you said Shelton.
Shelton,
That's where my relatives live. That's where I visited for a few weeks.
Oh, wow. It's a nice area.
Oh, beautiful area. Yes.
Now, I got... oh, go ahead, sir.
Well, I was a kid just out of high school visiting, and my aunt decided I should have a job. So it was November, October, somewhere in there, and it was Christmas time, and it was time to cut trees, right? And so anyway, she got me a job to go harvest Christmas trees, and I got to tell you, that was the hardest week of work I ever had.
Oh, yeah.
Because they had us on a plantation at low elevation one day, and then they had us up like 6,000 feet on a hill the next day. It would either rain or snow, or it was like 90 degrees out one day, so it was crazy work. And I applaud everyone who can do that sort of thing out in the wilderness. So I'm liking it much better down here, sitting in an office and working in AC.
Oh, yeah, that especially where you live. Now, I got to ask you a question. I mean, how long have you been interested in UFOs, and what caused you guys to get interested into UFOs?
Well, it's all my brother's fault. His name's Greg. He is very active in looking, watching, reading, observing, anything related to aliens, UFOs. He's the go-to guy on what's happening right now because he just loves it. And in 91, 92, he handed me a book on the Roswell incident. And back then, I believe it was either the truth about the UFO crash at Roswell or crash at Corona. I ended up buying both books and reading both of them. But he said, hey, a UFO crashed out there, and there was some sort of evidence and a crash point, a crash site. And I said, what? I didn't have an interest at the time. I said, I didn't believe in it. So I read the book and read both of them, and I had an interest. All of a sudden, I had an interest, and yet both books did not really pinpoint exactly where things happened. And I'm the kind of guy who wants details. It's my line of work. I work in design and drafting. I need details to work with. And it wasn't until 1996 that I became a member of the Roswell UFO Museum. And at that time, there was a group there, Ragsdale Productions, who created a book and a videotape on the Jim Ragsdale story. And this may be history and not in the public's eye today, but Jim Ragsdale had a story, an eyewitness story of witnessing the 1947 UFO crashing near his campsite on Boy Scout Mountain. So this book and videotape that they produced, I grabbed them, I read them, and in this book were maps. And it pinpointed exactly where Jim Ragsdale was camping out and where the crash site was. And that is really what got me going in this direction. And as soon as I saw the map, I felt I got to go. I got to go out to Roswell. And at that time, Julie and I were married almost a year.
Maybe a year.
And I'm myself, the relationship's still kind of new.
Really new.
And I really didn't share with her my enthusiasm for UFOs and aliens yet.
I didn't know this side to him. Not at all.
So I didn't know how to really approach her on it. So it was a casual weekend. In the morning, we were probably down drinking coffee. And I broached the subject. I said, Julie, would you care to fly out and visit New Mexico?
I got so excited. It's like, yes, we're going to go shopping, and we'll take in an air balloon ride and go enjoy the flavor of the food in the area. And that wasn't exactly what he meant.
No, her eyes got real wide when she was talking about that. She was excited, and I'm thinking, yeah, and I said, well, maybe we could do some of that stuff too. And at that point, she said, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I got this book and I got this map, and it shows right here on this map where a UFO crashed. So you want to go look?"
I said, "Sure." What an adventure!
Well, I got to ask you a question, Julia. How old were you when you first got married that first year?
I wasn't that young.
Okay.
I was 33.
Well, that's still young. Gee, I mean,
Well, I waited a long time to find this crazy guy.
well, I could be, I could see where, when he says, "Hey, let's go this place," I could see where you could be totally excited to do it. And then he drops the bombshell on you. "Hey, we're going to be checking out UFO crashes."
But that's been our life. We met 30 days later, we got engaged. That's just been our life. And we've been this way for 23 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's so nice. I was so happy that her eyes lit up and she wanted to do this. Otherwise, I was going to crash and burn, Not even a year into the marriage, and I was going to crash and burn. But, no, we paired up very well on that. So within 3 to 4 weeks later, the two of us were visiting New Mexico. We flew out there for a 4-day trip, landed in Albuquerque. We went down, spent the night in Las Cruces, and then the next day saw the Carlsbad Caverns, and then made our way up to Roswell. And it was all a nice drive. Got into Roswell, and we saw the old UFO museum. Haven't seen the new one yet, but at that time in '96, we saw the old museum. And we met up with Max Littell, and he was part of Ragsdale Production.
He was also managing the museum.
He was.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of told me how to get out to the crash site, because it was a good about 60 miles away up on a hill. And so that was going to be our next day's drive in the morning. We were going to go visit this UFO crash site after a good night's sleep, because I had been driving like 8 hours for that day. And we just found a great Mexican restaurant, and we had dinner and a couple of margaritas.
Oh, yeah, just getting really relaxed. And all of a sudden, was it me who had that brilliant idea to...
Yes, my wife. My wife's looking at me kind of funny, and she says, "There's something I want to do."
Yeah, so I was thinking, he's been pushing this whole thing about going up to Boy Scout Mountain and the Jim Ragsdale story, and I just like, you know what, let's just go do it now.
That's what she said.
The sun was setting. It was so beautiful. I was very relaxed. We were both very relaxed. A couple margaritas in.
That would help.
And the way she said it, she said, "You know what I want to do?" I said, "No, what?" She said, "That place you want to go in the morning, I want to go now."
Yeah, that was crazy. I didn't realize that we were supposed to go the next morning.
You forgot all about that part.
I forget so many things.
So it was probably around 6 p.m., and we're driving out of Roswell. I'd really would have rather gone to the hotel and gone to bed, but we're driving out of Roswell, heading to the mountain. And the mountains, we could see the mountain because of the sunset. The sun's setting behind it.
That's beautiful.
And eventually it got dark, and we found the dirt road to turn off. So we went up the hill. We passed maybe one camper along the way, got up to the hill, and then the good road ended where we needed to turn. It didn't end, but we saw the turnoff for the bad road. We knew there was going to be a bad road next.
It was ruts, and it was dirt, and just, it wasn't even a road